cabin we found. This is mining activity up here. Somebody with green spray paint got up here, and that's pretty crappy. Anyway, this is kind of an old building. Looks like an old foundation right here. Something used to be there.
There's a road right there.
Well, the main road's right there. Oh, a little side road, I see. You know, I'm thinking this trail probably goes out to the mine itself, but, you know, I don't know if we want to walk out there.
That would be the pits to run into somebody here.
Well, we know there's some people back there at the mines.
When I see a really beautiful paintbrush and then I get it.
Okay.
I've been seeing really beautiful ones now that I've decided to.
See what this sign says. Scenic byway, maybe?
Is that the line?
No. Backcountry Discovery Trail.
Oh.
Look out there. Isn't that cool?
Wow, that's beautiful. Now that is Oregon, right?
Yep.
Are we looking back?
Now we're getting close to the
Here,
boundary.
let's stop. Oh, look, we're looking over it.
That's paintbrush there.
Isn't that
We
beautiful?
stopped to look at this
that
flower bed. This flower garden is just beautiful. But we are near the Oregon border, and you can see for miles, which is just on the radio. I can see for miles.
A Modoc Super Blue,
This is,
the
boy.
Dismal Swamp.
It's because of the altitude. It's spring up here. That's the thing about the mountains, is as you go up in the mountains, you know, spring progresses on the way up, and up here it's still spring.
There's a road up that
Yep,
way.
I know, I saw that. It looks like it goes up a ways, but we're not going to follow that one. This is the one that goes toward the Oregon boundary.
We probably would have seen some other beautiful things.
I didn't know every forest did that. I knew the plumes did it, but I didn't know that. This is the Modoc, and they have one, and must go on to the Fremont, because the Fremont's what, when we get to the Oregon border, that's the Fremont National Forest. It's where the Modoc ends, Fremont begins. People have been driving up here when the road was soft and kind of rutted it out in places, right here. There's a cow.
They don't go into the swamp, I guess.
A couple of cows, 3 of them. And a beer can.
You know what those are? What kind of cows are those?
Black cows.
Angus.
Okay. All right, we're crossing into Fremont National Forest in Oregon. Fremont, Wainema.
39 Road 3915.
Okay, I'm gonna turn around here. This is the end of our trip on the Discovery Trail.
The trailhead is why this road keeps going.
Yeah, probably, huh?
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering. There's a lot of different roads and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, there is.
Looks like we're going down a different way.
Nope, we're going the same way we
yep.
went. We came.
Yeah. Yep. There it goes. Different. Did you see which way it went that way? That time?
Well, yeah, I did, but that doesn't. It's all squirrely down here. We don't know.
It went this way and then it went this way.
Yeah.
So
Squirrely winds up here. This is our last camp for this trip, and we're at about 7,200 feet.
is that all?
Yep, that's pretty high. And it's not cold up here. We're sitting in the shade.
Just when the right wind comes.
The wind's blowing, it makes it a little cooler.
Yeah, it's a big issue.
We're at a old mining camp. It's pretty cool. We checked out a lot of the stuff that's here. And I'll take you for a tour here in a minute. Anyway, it's a interesting place. There's a stamp mill here that's never seen one like that. It's a rotary stamp mill by the looks of it. Really small too, so kind of interesting. And then tomorrow we're heading down the hill. The hill's pretty steep hill coming up here, and pretty bad, just kind of real rocky, but not the kind of rocks you want to crawl over, just loose rocks. So kind of an interesting looking hill. But so we're gonna head down tomorrow, hit 395 and head south. So here's where we decided to camp. The first flat spot we could find on the way up the hill. There's more flat stuff around here, but there's an old log. I don't know when this mine was active, but they made log buildings out here for sure, which are now falling down. Still pretty interesting to look at. And shake roofs. But one of the most interesting things we found out here was this rotary stamp mill that's over here. So I've never seen one of these before. We've seen some stamp mills. We've run into quite a few stamp mills in different places that we've been to. This is the first time I've ever seen a rotary one. This one goes around in a circle. It's a weird thing. And I don't know if it's weird, it's just different from anything I've ever seen, and so I don't know. This thing used to go, you can see it used to turn. The gear here used to turn the shaft down the middle, which turned this what happened is as it turned, it raised these stamps up higher and higher until they dropped. And this is where the ore was processed, down in this area here. So I don't know exactly or any details about this, because this is the first one I've ever seen. So really interesting though. And the stamps are still here. This thing here is loose. I don't know what, I don't really know what it is, but it's part of the, it looks like it was part of a pulley system or something that was over in this area that turned that worm gear there. So anyway, very interesting piece of machinery that I've never seen before. I don't think it may not be that old. Some of the other mining stuff we found up here is in the 40s. So I don't know how old this is, but anyway, there's some other stuff up here. I'll bring you up there and show you that. Now uphill from the stamp mill, which is back down that way, are these two big tanks. Those are pretty good sized tanks. Those are probably 6 foot in diameter. Pretty good sized tanks. HY 106 and HY 107. My guess is they had water in them, because just above them is a spring, which we'll go up to in a minute. And there's a couple of buildings that are up here. This is one of those buildings, kind of a rickety thing now. Has some shelving in it. There was something here. I think that's a wall that fell in. There's some particle board, which kind of dates it a little bit, because particle board, don't use particle board out in the woods much because it swells up and gets wet. But anyway, here's one of the old buildings here. It's all fell down. This one has bed springs in it, so we're guessing it was some sort of a lodging type of area. So, and then right up here is the spring. Pretty clear water. This is probably their water source for their mining activities, as well as drinking water, which looks like they had plumbed into there. There's a pipe there. There's a pipe sticking out of the ground right there that must have went somewhere, probably to some of their buildings or something. There's water still coming out of that pipe there. So probably good spring water. We're not drinking it, but probably could. So head down there. So heading back down to where we're camping. And if we hadn't found something decent to camp, someplace decent to camp up here, we would have kept on going, went on down, and drove out that other road to see where it went. But this is a really nice flat spot we got here, and it's kind of sheltered. Pretty breezy today, but it's not cold. But we're about 7,200 feet, so we're up here a little bit. Got the solar panel out here charging the Yeti. I'm sitting in the shade. The boys have had their food.
They still have food, I think.
Yeah, they still have food, and they didn't even eat it all. And right over here, there's another crusher. It's a kind of a different type of crusher, and a couple of big tanks. This thing still actually works, sorta. This is some sort of crusher. These big wheels here, they dumped ore. There's a hopper over there. They dumped ore. They obviously built this little pile of dirt so they could come over here and dump their ore, the bigger rocks, I think, into that hopper, and which fed into this. This was belt driven. Here's the belts. pretty good sized belts. And then this thing turned, which it still does, like that. And actually it probably went that way because you drop the rocks go in the top and it crushes them. And then it ground and crushed it. And it didn't crush it real fine, but it crushed it initially, I guess. And but this is pretty amazing that this still works so well. So, and then it looks like it was all electrical because this is an electrical box here. So it actually says something about control on it. So did you see the switch over here? The switch, green and red. Red for stop, green for go. I guess green was, I don't know which is which, but one or the other. So anyway, oh, here's the key to lock it.
Bring it over to the camera more.
So interesting. So that's what, and then with the stamp mill, there was this crusher and a stamp mill here, which is really cool because I don't know, they must have done a lot of processing up here since it's so far up the hill, I guess.